This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Oh, hello.
Well, let's get back to it.
Oh, the lads done great, and the fans done great, and the manager done great, and it's all credit to the fans and the manager and the lads. Did that nice lady say that we were going to be paying £7,700 for our fuel bills by next spring? I mean, at this point, you just got to laugh. £7,700? Is that an actual amount? I mean, is that a real amount of money? The numbers go up that high? Texts and emails from last night. Ian tweets, if anyone other than Jeremy Corbyn was leader of Her Majesty's opposition during this absolute Tory incompetence extravaganza, the Labour Party would be 20 points ahead. Bloomin' Corbyn. No! Jasper says, I've got a great idea. We should sell off our sewage. Oh, you got a good idea there, Jasper. He says, we could pretend that it's an amazing fertiliser. It's the only utility we have left that the Iron Lady hasn't sold. She sold everything else. That is an excellent idea there, Jasper. I'm not going to allow big business to just take my sewage. I'm going to keep it. In jars. I'll put it away for a rainy day. Well, you never know. The price might just skyrocket. I had no idea I was going to say that. Alarming. Shelley emails, can you tell us if you struggled in class being the baby in the year in primary school as an August baby? Yeah, I was always a year younger than everybody else. A year younger than everybody else in my class. And Kirsty says, oh, by the way, I was thinking about this last night. Somebody texted in, and I didn't bring them up on it because I was too busy concentrating on the issues. But somebody texted in because I was having a go at, the Lizbot, the Blunder Truss. And they said, oh, well, what university did you go to? You didn't go to a very good university. She went to Oxford University. And that just sums up where we are as a country. We are still riven by classism, from the tip-toppermost of our flat hats to our hobnail boots, bowing and scraping before those what have got it, as opposed to us what ain't. Just pathetic, really. There's stupid people go to Oxford and Cambridge. There's stupid people everywhere. We're surrounded by morons. I think you'll find that that is true. Kirsty texts, Truss should have said to Putin, she will open up new pork markets. That'll scare him. That speech that she gave about apples and pork and,
that is a disgrace.
All of that, about cheese. Big cheese fan, apparently. It is a little bit scary. I mean, just in and of itself, it's scary because she seems to be somebody who is possessed with the thought of cheese and apples and pork, and she delivers what she thinks is a wizard of amusing line, and then just stands there with her mouth open, waiting for the response from an audience which does not arrive, and and the silence is so all-encompassing. It's almost like you're falling into a well. It's like, oh, please say something. I think it would be just about as frightening to show Vladimir Putin as if Gavin Williamson told him to shut up and go away. I wonder what position he's going to have in the next... oh, God, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? The stuff that's happening. Is this real life or am I hallucinating? Dominic texts, now that the summer is over and the winter is on the way, do you think Norway will be sending us a tree with... Do you think Norway will be sending us a tree with branches this year? Yeah, thanks a lot, Norway, for that barren stick you sent us last year. What was that about? Offensive? Tantamount to a declaration of war, I think. Winter is on the way. Oh, my God. It's the end of August. It's practically October. It's nearly Jesus' birthday. I can't stand it. No, I'm not finished with spring yet. Kim says Liz Truss will make an announcement when she's PM. She will say we are giving councils more money to set up community kitchens so everyone will be able to have a Christmas dinner. Again with the Christmas stuff. Everyone will be so thankful that she will automatically win the next election. After all, as Zaphod said earlier, there is a war on. All the little Brexiters will come out force praising the good old Blitz spirit. Oh, they'll come out in force praising the good old Blitz. I ruined that for you, Kim. Sorry about that. Do you want to write that again? And finally, for the moment, Bernadette emails, have you heard there's going to be a Bodger leaving party outside Downing Street next week? Looks like thousands will be going. I don't know if it's party time just yet, what with Lizzie taking over and all that. Right, it started well there, Bernadette, but it sort of fizzled out towards the end there. It's going to be one of the Boris Johnson's famous business meetings. Bring your own suitcase of refreshments.
Booze.
Exeter, John.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
All right, thanks.
Good. I'm a suspiciously keen caller.
You certainly are. What do you want?
Well, what do I want? Oh, thanks for that. I want to be on the radio.
You are. You are on the... It's like a miracle. All you have to do is want enough and it will happen.
Brilliant. Are these the sunny uplands?
Yeah, they are. How's it working out for you so far?
Fabulous.
Absolutely fabulous. I like your podcast, by the way.
Which one?
With the one with what's her name, Carol.
What's her name?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
That one. She's normally suitably refreshed. I can tell.
Isn't she ever? Yeah. From about 9 o'clock in the morning onwards. Yeah. Up to her eyeballs in it. Yeah. She's like steepled.
Steepled. Well, anyway,
is there a point to this call, or are you just chit-chatting?
No, there is a serious point to this call. Now, when you do your sound effects, like you just did there earlier, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have like a screen? Is it like a touch screen thing in front of you, or do you use a mouse to click on different things to make the noises happen?
No, it's a touch screen. I'm touching it at the moment, as a matter of fact, and the screen as well.
Right, okay, and then you get the different sound effects that you want.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried about Liz Truss, because I think that, the business about the nuclear button and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she'll have a sort of touch screen in front of her, and when she wants to nuke Putin, she'll hit the wrong button and it'll say pork market.
Yeah, or she'll just get a duck noise, something like that.
Yeah.
In fact, the security services should replace the nuclear button with one that just makes a duck noise.
I think that, it would help us all stay safe.
Exactly right. Well, that's what the government is all about. It's all about helping us stay safe. All right. Thanks a lot, John. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Pedro texts, nuclear war is purely and simply mad. Mutually assured destruction. The perfect acronym if there ever has been any, says Pedro. Yeah, we know that. Gloria says, it is obvious this government is treating the people in this country like the sewage that is being dumped on our seas and rivers. For God's sake, why are, just the letter R, why are the people in high places and with a conscience putting up with this? I don't know. Let's ask the people. Why are we putting up with this? Why were we putting up with them selling off our water in the first place? What kind of a stupid country sells its water, for crying out loud? If this Tory government could sell air, they'd have done it by now. We'd all be walking around with backpacks of our allotted amount of oxygen, and we'd be shallow breathing because of the cost of it. I am stunned. Well, there's very bad news about the cost of stuff going up. I mean, you've heard about the serious stuff, but it's even worse than you might have imagined. But I'll get to that in a minute. I'm talking about very, very serious issues here. I'm not talking about stuff that we can do without, like water and electricity and gas. I'm talking about stuff that no one can do without. Much more important than that. And the price of it's gone through the roof. So I'll come to that in just a minute. But I'll leave a moment for you to prepare yourself, because you're not going to like it. 0345 6060 973. Chatham, Paul.
Hi, Nick. I just wanted to talk about how depressing things are, really, in a kind of, nice way.
Depressing?
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Go ahead.
Well, we had a letter through the other day saying that you can help the environment by getting some heat pumps for instead of having a boiler in your house.
Yeah.
And we could get £5,000 off.
£5,000 off, right.
Yeah, but the price of it was £12,000 after the...
12,000?
12,000, between £7,000 or £12,000 after the £5,000 reduction.
No, not after the
seriously.
£5,000 reduction,
Yeah,
surely.
yeah.
How can it cost
Yeah.
that much?
Because no one wants
Because it does.
It does, yes. And, just everything really at the moment is kind of heavy because I was trying to...
Now, do you mean heavy in a sort of 1970s way?
Groovy.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Or do you mean it actually
Yeah.
weighs a lot?
No, because it is kind of not weighing a lot. It's
Right.
kind of... I was driving to work the other day because I have to drive to London and I was listening to Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there is no dark side of the moon.
And the song came on Money, and then I read, I think it was in The Independent, they said that Pink Floyd are selling their back catalogue to an equity group for £400 million.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of
I think
ironic.
it's Blackstone, isn't it? Isn't it the world's biggest like fund manager? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed kind of like how much money do you actually need?
How much money do you actually need, Rog? Exactly.
But also, I had the misfortune of seeing part of the hustings for Liz and what's
Fishy.
his name?
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And in the crowd, I see people with placards saying, "Keep Brexit safe."
Well, let me translate that for you. What that means is they have a little bit of a problem, from the neck up. A little bit of a neck up issue. Keep Brexit safe. What are they talking about?
It wasn't kind of like someone had kind of scribbled on the card. It was like pre-cut and like produced and that kind of thing, and holding up with smiles on their face. And I just think, what could you possibly think about Brexit that is good?
Morons, Paul. Just remember that we are surrounded by morons.
Indeed. Well, I find that because I drive to London every day.
Well,
and,
there's a lot of morons in London, believe me, and most of them are driving. So be at maximum alertedness at all time. Is alertedness a word? I don't know, but it is now. Okay, thanks a lot, Paul. Thanks for the bad news. Keep Brexit safe. God, I mean, it's just beyond belief, isn't it? And I wouldn't be remotely surprised if they were actually printed by some evil think tank or, one of these highly suspicious organisations that will come out of West One. Keep Brexit safe. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Brexit's going great.
Oh, glad to hear it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
How may I help you?
How may I help you? Your call is important to us. You have been on hold for 6 hours, but please be aware that your call is important to us, as you have already heard me say about 10,000 times while listening to Greensleeves. County Durham. Hello, Sean.
Family of four, right, mate? I'll go straight into it. Family of four on tax universal credit, right? £1,000 a month. 400 of that is rent. £300 electric. That's £75 for a family of four to live on. And the Chancellor's just turned around and said that people on £45,000 a year are going to get some as they say, handouts. That's £850 a week, Nick. Try and live on £75 a week for a family of four.
Yeah, I don't know why you're shouting at me about it. What's it got to do with me?
No, but I'm saying, mate, I don't mean to shout, but you know what I mean? When you're on invalidity benefits, That's what you get. £75 a week for a family of 4.
Right. Well, you know who voted for the Conservative Party this time around?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
mate. The Labour backstabbers have really proved themselves right, haven't they?
It's really bizarre, and I know I bring this up a lot, but I just can't quite get my head around it. The majority, the biggest demographic that voted for the Conservatives at the last general election are the poorest people in society.
Yes.
What's that about?
Because I thought Brexit would be better than anything else, mate. It's ruined the country.
I tell you what, Brexit's so great that they're frightened they're going to lose it. It's like, please don't stop torturing us.
But can you understand where I'm coming from, Nick? Mind when he says £45,000 and they're still going to get help with their heating.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's £850 a week, mate.
Well, he's a guy with stables, for crying out loud. He can't really conceive of anybody not earning at least £45,000 a year. I mean, that is sort of stable boy territory for him.
It's honest to God, mate. The country's gone. It's gone mad, mate. It's gone mad.
Yeah. Well, you get no argument about that from me.
Right, thanks very much, mate.
Oh, no, thank you. He came very, very angry, and he left a little bit placated, a tiny little bit less furious than he was before. Yeah, a little bit. It's almost as though I'm helping. Am I helping yet?
No.
Liz text, do you think Liz Truss would help the poor with their heating bills in a nuclear winter? No, but I think she'd create one. John emails. He says, the one good thing from a Truss election as Prime Minister is that Miss Rwanda will be gone from her job. What does that mean? I don't get that. And Michelle says, I have a large Rock Against Thatcher badge from 1981. Do you think I'll be arrested if I was to proudly display it? Michelle, I think you'd be attacked in the street by some knuckle dragger with the Union Jack tattooed on his forehead. Because they seem to be bizarrely in love with Margaret Thatcher. I can't imagine why. I really don't understand it. Ever since then, a Tory government has been less like a governing party and more like a smash and grab raid. I mean, it's as though they burst into the house, took all of our valuables and just sold it to their fence. We ain't got nothing left. There's nothing left to sell. I mean, they're scrabbling around trying to find something that they haven't flogged off yet for that sort of sugar rush of instant cash that they can say, oh, well, look, what a tremendous job we're doing of the economy. We've got all this money. And then that burns away in about 10 seconds, and then we ain't got nothing anymore. It's just staggering. And we put up with it. Not only do we put up with it, but we actually reward that behaviour. That really is the surprising part to me. We don't just put up with our water and our electricity and our trains and our post office and everything else you can think of that we used to own. It's not that we just put up with that being taken from us and flogged to their mates. It's worse than that. We don't just put up with it, we reward that behaviour. Amazing. It's as though we've all been hypnotised. Kath texts, have you heard that they're giving people in Ukraine who live near the nuclear power plant iodine tablets to take in case the nuclear power plant has a leak? Everything is going extremely well. Well, that's a good point, Kath. Everything is going extremely well. She says, maybe Liz Truss could all give us a... See, now, this is not a funny thing, but I don't know why. I seem to be a bit giggly this evening. Things are amusing me. She says, maybe Liz Truss could all give us a... Screwed that up. Have you heard? Kath says that they're giving people in Ukraine who live near a nuclear power plant iodine tablets to take in case the nuclear power plant has a leak. Maybe Liz Truss could all give us a cyanide tablet to take when we get our next energy bill. Right. Desiree says, when this government have done with the fossil fuel energy crisis, they're going to move to heavily taxed green energy. Kwasi Kwarteng really wants to put the knife in. Well, there's a lot of people who seem to be very, very resistant about renewable energy, oddly. Well, it's not odd, it's suspicious is what it is. People who know better seem to be very, very resistant to the idea of not burning fossil fuels anymore. What's that about? Well, I know what it's about. I have, I don't know, but I have my deep suspicions. Why are they resistant to using a renewable energy that comes from the sun and the wind and the waves? I mean, how could you pick a hole in that? And they're trying very, very hard to do it. They're bending themselves in pretzel shapes in order to do it. The wind is medieval. Well, not the wind. The windmills, says that melting candle. Highly suspicious. Why would he say that? Why would any of them say it? Oh, you can't rely on the sun. Yeah, you can. Maybe in 50 billion years we won't be able to rely on the sun because we'll have exploded in the sky and burnt us all to a frazzle. But that's in 50 billion years' time. George tweets, the people who came up with Keep Brexit Safe are still wetting themselves laughing. They're just for some knuckle-dragging homunculus from Hartlepool to repeat it on a vox pop. Well, that would be the best reading of that, but I seriously doubt that that's the case. I don't think they're doing it as a prank. I think they really mean it. Keep Brexit safe. Funny, no?
No.
If only it weren't real, it would be funny. Mark says, if ever there was an advert that Oxford and Cambridge are crap universities, it's the British government. Well, that is absolutely true. Completely correct in every respect.
Affirmative.
They're all from there. So it can't be that great. I mean, we're being run by a confederacy of dummies. Dunces, every single one of them. Competing with each other to see who can say the stupidest thing next. And apparently the best of them are Liz Truss and Fishy Sunak. They're the brightest they have to offer. I rest my face. Pat says, it might be just me, but Dim Lizzy makes Jack the Ripper sound like a people person. But apart from global extinction, I have an idea for a phone app. One button that makes the noise of someone in head-exploding fury, banging the receiver down in pop-eyed rage. Well, that was about what I was talking about last night. It's very unsatisfactory if you want to slam your phone down if you're using a mobile and you can't afford to buy another one. You've just got to prod your finger at their little red telephone button, which is not the same as slamming the phone down, as I demonstrated yesterday, and I'll do it again. Slam the phone down, like that. You really give it some welly. Because those kind of phones, old kind of phones, ones with wires, you could slam those down. No problem. The mobile, you can't slam it down unless you want to buy another one. And everybody under the age of 30 is going, what's a phone with wires, Grandad? Very disappointed in the kids. Lucy tweets, if you had to play a sound clip of Thatcher, which one would you choose? Well, I'll have to think about that, Lucy. Don't spring that kind of stuff on me. I have to think about it. How about cackling like some Disney cartoon villainess? Michael texts, it's a crying shame the billions of pounds being spent on the war and is not being spent on the economy at home where it's needed. It a very dangerous situation and naive to think nuclear will never be used, so we are going to defeat a superpower that lost 30 million people in the last war but have weapons they are not going to use. Mr. Biden needs to get his things cap on or there will be more than Ukraine flattened. Does that make sense?
No.
Well, kind of. Here's a good piece of advice, Michael. You want to pay attention closely and write this down. Or get somebody else to write it down who, actually speaks English. Check your messages before you send them. Excellent advice, I think you'll find. Just give it a quick read before you hit send. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What in blazes goes on inside that head of yours?
Search me, Governor. Paul texts, Donald Trump has had his Twitter account suspended. Now I'm guessing his eBay account has gone the same way. I heard he was trying to sell the knock list. See Tom Cruise for further details. The knock list. Benedict texts, are we starting to want Mr. Bodge back? Oh, no. And furthermore...
No.
No, we don't want him back now. Not ever. Never. Chris says, I am really looking forward to your end of year A to Z. It'll cheer us all up. P.S. Energy prices are worrying me. They're worrying you? They're freaking everybody else out. Do we want Bodge back? You are joking, I assume. The permanently deluded at these hustings are saying, what did he ever do wrong? As though they can't remember like 2 weeks ago. What did he ever do wrong? Those are the people that are going to decide our next leader for us. What could possibly go wrong? Manchester. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, Nick. I'd like to give you an E for energy and give you an F for the government, and it ends in up. I phoned up last night, right? I was mid-ablution when I phoned up. So my point I was going to make last night was, this Ofgem thing, why don't we just get rid of it? Because it seems, I know Ofgem and all that sort of came to prominence during the Blair years, but the Tories have run with it, haven't they? It seems to be top-heavy on the company side of things. So why don't we just get rid of it and sort of say, no, sod off, you're making £20 zillion profit. And I know there's a difference between those that are digging it up and those that are selling it, but just get rid of it.
Well, why don't we do that? Well, because we can't.
As a country, why don't we?
Oh, I mean, right. Because, are you surprised that the rules and the regulations seem to benefit those that have rather than those that have not?
Not really, but just get rid of it, because this is just getting ridiculous now, isn't it? I mean, if you got, the Chancellor coming out of a statement that people on 45 grand are going to struggle. What about people that are on 14 grand?
Yeah, well, exactly. But he can't conceive that anybody earns that little.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, 14 grand a year. That's 14 grand a year. That's how much he would spend on heating one of his horses, assuming he couldn't claim it on expenses. Zaphod.
So obviously the
okay, get back to us. Anyway, thanks a lot, Stephen. I completely concur in every respect. Just get rid of them. But they aren't the actual problem, because there is something that's going to rise in price, which is much, much more serious than fuel. And I'll come to that in just a minute. But the CEO pay of the energy companies is just absolutely staggering. I'll come to that as well. And I want to talk about the water bills. And the fact that the government are telling us two different things about whether we should conserve energy or not. It's as though there's no one in charge right now. Is there anybody in charge right now?
I can't comment on that.
Yeah, are you still getting paid? Yes. Still paying him, still not doing a job. Still getting paid, still not bothering to show up to work. God, what a shower, eh? Catford, hello, Steve.
Oh, hi, Nick. Yeah, I just realised I've been thinking my puny point. You
have a
right,
you have a puny point.
You should think. Yeah, I mean, we have a government that will probably it will be Liz Truss, and it will probably put someone like Jacob Rees-Mogg in charge of something. So, I mean, I kind of could end it there and say, well. ellipsis. It's crazy. But my point, if it is a point, was where's the popular culture? I mean, in the 60s, you had
Bob Dylan. You had
you had a
Crosby,
a
Stills,
movement.
Nash and Young.
Yes, you had in the 70s and 80s, you had sort of people like Billy Bragg. You had Ghost Town, #1 single. And I'm old now, so I'm not around.
How old are you?
I'm 62.
62 years old.
Yeah. So I'm around about the same age as you, Nick.
And you want to know where the protest songs are?
Well, exactly. What are musicians? I mean, it seemed to be in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, that musicians and I mean, they might be doing it now.
They took a stand. They made music that actually had a point to it, rather than whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some rapper out there somewhere that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, no, me neither. Them hippity hip hop. I think the rap that I hear is I don't know. It took a turn, rap. The good old days of rap. There used to be sort of a sense of positivity about it, like and protest songs. I mean, the first one that was a sort of massive worldwide hit was Grandmaster Flash, The Message. It was actually called The Message. But since then, it's all my gun's bigger than your gun, and it's just kind of pathetic.
Some bloke blagging about, So I just wonder what's going on. I mean, there's got to be people out there. There's got to be musicians and artists out there.
I completely agree in every way, shape, and form, Steve. What's going on? We'll get Marvin Gaye on the phone, and he can explain it to us.
Rock and roll!
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. 0345 6060 973. They sold out, man. Bob Dylan sold his back catalogue for $1 billion or thereabouts. And so did Bruce Springsteen, by the way. Not $1 billion, but it was like big money, huge. Richard emails, I was born in 1954, and in all my years I have never experienced the chaos that we are currently undergoing. The world has become so corrupt since Trump and Wurzel Gummidge. When will this bedlam end? Excellent question, Richard. We've got no idea. Not anytime soon, because you know who's coming in.
We have never had it so good.
How can you say that out loud? I mean, really. It's like she's trying to program robots. You just keep saying the same thing over and over again, and people will start to believe.
We have never had it so good.
It's weird, though. I'm really getting a strong sense that we have never had it so good. I don't know where that's coming from. Terry tweets, it's almost like utility privatisation benefit delusion was the warning never heeded before the Brexit delusion. We really must have a change of government brave enough to cite the truth and reset this country. We can't handle the truth. We're not remotely interested in the truth anymore. We're all about feelings now, baby. How you feeling? Not that great. Oh, it's probably Jeremy Corbyn's fault. Or Ramona's are at fault. No! 0345 6060 973. Graham says, I just saw Pretty Useless on TV and wondered, where has she been for many months? I hope I don't get a nightmare with Pretty Liz Trustless. Wow. You're tying yourself up in knots there, Graham. He said, I'd like to know where Pretty has been hiding, as if it was a nuclear war, I'd follow her. Okay. I think that sort of makes sense. A little bit. Not much, but a bit. It fits right into this show. Paul says, I've been asleep since June 2016. Where's David Cameron? Who are these two with the funny haircuts and the orange faces and the suits that don't fit? Who are these comedians? Still not missing you, David Cameron.
I think this is nonsense.
But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools. God, wouldn't that be great if you'd been asleep since June 2016? I mean, has he missed anything?
No.
I don't think so. Hasn't even, we would have skipped by, the mad bat disease. Would have passed all that by. You wouldn't believe what we've been through, Paul. It was like a sci-fi movie. By the way, I do a podcast which is called Nick Abbot Habit, and it is clips of old shows. And the shows that I was doing were at the very beginning of the Mad Bat disease, when we were all going through it, and it was all a bit new. And the shows were sort of getting more and more alarming. And I was thinking, do people actually want to relive this? Maybe not. Maybe it's a bit too soon. And so I skipped ahead a bit till I could find where it became funny again. You know, I skipped past the part where I was doing the show in, spring 2020. I was doing this show, having wiped down every surface with antiseptic wipes. And I was actually sitting here with marigolds on, just because I didn't want to touch anything. And I was pretty much the only person in the middle of London at that time. I would drive in, and it was like being in a sci-fi film, because there was nobody around, apart from sort of like people who were homeless, who were kind of shuffling about the middle of the road because there were no cars. They had taken over the centre of London because there was nobody else about. There was no shops open, there were no cinemas, there were no hotels open, there was nothing open at all. No ordinary people or no people who would ordinarily be in the middle of town were here anymore. It's just me and them, so kind of shuffling about like bags of laundry, like sort of piles of laundry being blown about by the wind. So weird. And because everybody was really freaking out at the time. And I was sitting here in marigolds for 3 hours. You have got no idea how much your hands sweat in rubber gloves if you wear them for 3 hours. I mean, it was just pouring off me. So I thought I might skip past all that lot and then alight back on the funny again. And that's what the podcast is. It's just a half hour of concentrated amusement from old shows. It's a best of. So if you like this, you'll like that. Get it where you get your podcast. It's on Global Player, of course. Global Player is a delight, and you absolutely should have it in your life. If you don't have it, you can get it from your favourite app store. It's got all the radio stations that we do, and loads of podcasts as well. It'll keep you entertained from now till the end of time, which, with Liz Truss in charge, should be any time now. Get it while it's still available. From your app store, Global Player, and ask for it by name, the podcast called The Nick Abbot Habit.
Leading Britain's conversation, LBC, with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
This bloke says, Al, in fact. He says, can we just stop calling people by their titles? For Pete's sake, I couldn't possibly call David Frost a lord. Poor lord, poor. Or Gavin Williamson by some ridiculous title. The honours system should be scrapped and titles cancelled. It's a no from me in addressing idiots by titles, says Al. I completely agree in every way, shape and form. Lord David Frost. I mean, come on. Or Sir Gavin Williamson. I mean, it is just ridiculous. They should all be cancelled straight away, if not sooner. The House of Lords should be shut down. Every single one of them should be fired and we'll start again. Who's with me? Richard texts, Rishi will absolutely not put a fishy on our dishy. Yeah, probably not, no. When the boot comes in, or not. David says, Liz Truss fancies Emmanuel Macron and her "the jury's out" comment is merely her way of channeling Margaret Thatcher's flirting technique. Okay. Yeah, it's worse than you thought, Emmanuel. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Let's have Harrow. Jonathan.
Nick, hi.
Jonathan.
I had two main points to make, but I had 8 other ones. But shall I start with the main 2?
I think that's probably best, yes.
I think, because I was telling the boy who answered your phone that this country's economy is so terrifying now that I keep saying to myself I will leave from January in the new year, okay?
You're going to leave from January in the new year. Well, why wait?
Bye-bye.
Leave now.
No, because, hey, don't, come on. Because I have a house that I'm renting, and I voted for Boris in 2019.
You voted for Boris in 2019, and how's that working out for you?
Because I believe a lot of the propaganda. Because I'm not as stupid, okay?
Well, okay, then.
Economy-wise, it's very hard now. I'm starting to become scared. I've got a nice car. I might sell the car, etc. But the second point is this country, economically, we're right-wing. But socially, we are very left-wing. And the walkie-talkie warriors and the ultra-feminists in this country are creating a lot of strife. You know, the police are very weak. And the mans in this country now they're very feminines because they're making them weak by the water, the water companies.
The water companies are putting something in the water that is turning men feminine. Is that what you're saying?
If you look at the mans in this country now, in 2022,
yes.
They're not as strong.
Not as strong. They're becoming a little bit more feminine because they're putting estrogen in the water. Is that what you're saying?
And the women's in this country, I'm not a sexist.
No,
okay?
Of course not.
I'm not a sexist.
Of
but
course
the women's are very, very. You see on all the planes when when there's a problem on the planes, it's usually Western women's, and I don't mean this in an offensive way.
Not an offensive way, no. But it's white women that are becoming a lot more aggressive.
I did not say white. I did not say white. You thought that because
and the men are becoming a little bit more feminine because they're putting like some sort of fruitification unguent in the water. Is that what you're saying?
I did not say the white women. Now you said white women because maybe you're intelligent.
A very, very racist person.
But can I just say quickly that I'm not a stupid person?
You keep telling me that, Jonathan. I don't see any evidence of that. If you can provide evidence, then that's one thing. But if not, the jury is out, as Liz Truss would say. Thanks a lot, Jonathan, for whatever that was. David texts, the Conservative Red Wall voters won't know if Brexit is going extremely well or appallingly as expected, as television and radio aren't powered by candles yet. Carl says, it's all too much. I need to lie down in a darkened room with a wet flannel on my forehead. And not even specifically after that last call either. But that man has a point. He's got a point. There's a certain in the water source. If you put it under a microscope, I think that you will see some swishification chemicals. Some swishification chemicals in the water. That's just a fact. Carl says, oh no, he's the guy in a darkened room with a wet flannel on his forehead. Rob says, why don't we just give everyone £1 million? Then people can pay their bills and buy fish and chips and keep the chippies from going bust, and we can borrow the money from China. Excellent suggestion there, Rob. Would you like to be the next Chancellor of the Exchequer? Can you start first thing Monday morning? But you have to work from home. Camden. Hello, Clive. Claire.
Hi.
Can I call you Clive?
Did you say Clive?
Well, I know you're Claire, but for the purpose of covering up my mistake, can I call you Clive for the duration of this call?
That would be strange.
That would be strange, but it would fit right in on this show. Go ahead, Clive.
I have two questions.
Question one.
Well, the first one.
Unfortunately, she hung up on herself. Clive is an idiot. Where are you, Clive? Gone. Better luck next time. 0345 6060 973. See, now I want to know what the questions were. Don't you? I feel as though I've been robbed. Cheated again. Again. Damn it. We'll see if we can't get it back and we'll see what the questions were. I'm mostly interested in what the second question was. The first question, I don't really care. But the second question, that was what is troubling me at the moment. What could it possibly have been? Is she there? Clive?
Hello?
There you are.
Hello?
Yes, Clive. Go ahead. What's your first question?
About the airports and all the chaos and the lack of staff and things.
Yeah.
And I say that this is largely due to the Brexit.
Brexit? Well, it can't possibly be because...
Brexit's going great.
Brexit is going great.
But...
Has she done it again? There seems to be some problem with your phone, Clive. You don't appear to be able to use one. Did it come with instructions? Which part of your head are you holding it to? Oh, there you are.
A friend of mine said, no, it's the same in France and in Germany and the USA.
It isn't.
And I'd like to ask you, how would you reply to her?
I'd reply to her by saying it isn't the same. We have all of the problems that they've got, plus the unique and specific problems that we have imposed on ourselves, like idiots. We have, we've done the only thing. We seem to we have a history of doing the only thing that other countries in the world would not do. We're the only country in the world, to my knowledge, that has sold its water supply. What kind of a stupid country would do that? Just us. We're the only country in the world that has left a major trading bloc to impose restrictions on our ability to sell and trade with our biggest trading partner. No other country in history has ever done that, has ever done anything quite so self-defeating and self-damaging. Just us. Why do we keep doing these stupid things? Answer me that. Riddle me that. Is that both of your questions? Clive? Clive?
Hello?
Yes.
If she allows me the time to, I would say the same, yes.
Right. So what's your second question?
And the second one is it easier to go to the moon or to Ukraine instead of staying here and saying something from behind the lectern to the people in this country?
Okay. I preferred the first question because I understood the first question. The second question, I'm not entirely sure what you're actually on about there. Something about the moon? You have a problem with the moon?
No, the current PM went all the way to the Ukraine.
Yes. Usually in times of great strife, he runs away to where the press treats him better because they don't know him very well in Ukraine. They think he's some sort of hero. They think he is interested in their plight.
Yeah, but all the way from Ukraine, he shouted something towards his people here, his nation. And he said...
Okay, but what's the moon got to do with it? Got to do with it?
Because to him, maybe it's easier to go to the moon and shout at his people from the moon.
Well, I think that is a theory that we should definitely put into practice. We should at least try it out. Let's send Boris Johnson to the moon. We'll have a whip round. Dig deep, people. This is important. All right, thanks a lot, Claire. Cheers, my dear. Clive. Sorry about that. Got your name wrong there, Clive. You seriously need a new phone. I mean it. Get one right now, if not sooner. Try a landline. Does anybody actually have a landline anymore?
No.
No one does. It's the only thing that actually works as a phone. Mobile phones are great for finding out what the phase of the moon is. For instance, you can text people from your place of abode to the opposite side of the world. In fact, you can text somebody who's sitting in the International Space Station. But can you use it as a phone?
No.
I still got to get to the thing that is going up in price that is very, very... Never mind about the price of electricity and gas. I'm talking about serious stuff here. The price of something has gone through the roof, and you're not going to like it. 03456060973. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and...
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
You're joking. Hello, boys.
Nadim Zahawi is working night and day. Anybody believe that?
No.
No. Not me. He's thinking up some numbers.
86%, 5 million, and of course, over 50%. And what I'm saying is...
Oh, please. Just noise and numbers, filling the air, signifying nothing. He always goes for the big numbers. Whenever he's asked anything at all, he always said, well, of course, we've got £56 billion of there. And already your mind just sort of shuts down. What does that even mean? Talk to us about how much we individually will get. Number 10 and allies of Liz Truss are resisting the idea that people should be asked to cut their energy use. Did you read this? Number 10 and allies of the Blunder Truss are resisting the idea that people should be asked to cut their energy use, with the government insisting that consumption of gas and electricity is, quotes, a decision for individuals. Individuals and businesses in other countries in the EU, including France and Germany, were asked to cut gas demand by 15%. In other countries, they're being asked to cut their energy use, but not in this country. People across Europe have been urged to switch off lights and use appliances less often after member states, apart from Hungary, agreed to a voluntary cut in usage. But not in jolly old Blighty. Goodness me, no. We don't bow to these doom mongers that say we can't get by living in a home as cold as a fridge. Our leaders will do the conservative thing and ignore the problem, as it doesn't affect them personally. The fossil fuels companies will still donate. The MPs can charge their fuel bills to us who can't pay our own. I mean, what is the big to-do? Kwasi Kwarteng, the actual business secretary, who's likely to be Liz Truss's next chancellor, believes conserving fuel is not necessary. They actually said all this stuff out loud. We don't have to cut our energy use, and conserving fuel is not necessary for the UK, and the energy use should be up to individuals. We will get by on patriotism and flags. Asked whether people should reduce how much energy they use, given the high cost of worries about supply, a spokesmodel for Boris Johnson said, "These decisions, in terms of energy consumption, remain decisions for individuals. Households, businesses and industry can be confident that they will have the electricity and gas that they need. We can be confident. Boris Johnson has said there's nothing to worry about." In more grown-up news, officials believe that the UK could experience blackouts for several days in January. It's just completely normal for a well-run country. Oh, my God. At the same time, energy bills are forecast by one analyst to top £6,000 next year.
What?
I just heard the nice woman on the news say 7,700. I mean, it seems to be going up by the day. They're just pulling numbers out the air like you-know-who.
86%, 5 million. And
86% of 5 million, whatever that is. I mean, this time last week we were talking about the price cap going up to 3,000 and something, which seemed like way too much. And then it was 4,000, and then they said 5,000. Surely no higher than that, we thought. And then they said 6,000, and now it's going to be 7,700. I mean, who that is not putting that on their parliamentary expenses can afford it? The Labour Party warned that Britons face serious hardship on a massive scale if the government does not intervene. Which should be the slogan at the next Tory party conference. Serious hardship on a massive scale. Vote Conservative. And I bet 40% of the population would still vote for them.
Oh, fabulous.
A government spokesmodel said households, businesses and industry can be confident that the UK's secure and diverse energy supplies will provide the electricity and gas that they need. Decisions on energy consumption rightly remain a matter for individuals, and we recognise households will have different energy usage needs. They've been very clear that individuals will make their own robust decisions. At least that was the beginning of the week. And then you flash forward a couple of days, and they're all saying the total opposite. On the 26th, a couple of days ago, just moments literally after they had all told us that we all make our own decisions and there's no need to conserve and everything is fine, no need to worry, your pretty little heads about it, Nadeem Zahawi advised Britons to start cutting their energy use because there's a war on. Right. There's a war on, all right. It's a war between the government and the people. We, the people, have been attacked by our own government who've barged through the door and ransacked the place. If this country was a car, it'd have had its wheels nicked and it'd be up on bricks right now. Chancellor Nadeem Zahawi said the reality is that we should all look at our energy consumption. It's a difficult time. There's a war on our continent. Very few people anticipated war, he said. Wars happen in far-flung places. It's now here with us. We have to remain resilient. My responsibility is to deliver help. Do you want to hear this again? And we will fight them in Tesco's for some out-of-date food going cheap, and we will fight them for a spot near the one-bar fire, and we will curl up and die because the government will never surrender to giving handouts to the poor. Handouts are for corporations and MPs' expense accounts. Anything other than that is socialism. No! Zahawi acknowledged the increase in the price cap would cause stress and anxiety for people. And now here's a person in the street, stressed and anxious. He said the government is working flat out to develop more options to support households. Are you working flat out, Budge?
Yeah. Wait.
Well, he is flat out. That is true. It's the only part of that sentence that is true. Flat out. Nadeem Blablawi said, while Putin is driving up energy prices in revenge for our support of Ukraine's brave struggle for freedom, I am working flat out to develop options for further support, he said. Yeah, what does that look like? Flat out. I mean, seriously. Working flat out. Is he working now, do you think? You know, like Boris Johnson, the actual Prime Minister, is working flat out on a lounger by the pool. Or Miss Trust and Fishy Sunak are working flat out on a Margaret Thatcher appreciation tour. Or any of the other people that are supposed to be actually captaining the ship and not lolling around drinking cocktails on the poop deck. The poop deck.
Disgusting.
This will mean an incoming Prime Minister can hit the ground running and deliver support to those who need it most as soon as possible, said Nadeem Zahawi. As soon as possible. Yet too late. The government can't just send out money. It's got to be handled by those enemies of the people, civil servants. No! Civil servants, those that we are being told to despise. And, by the way, their numbers are being cut. By you-know-who.
I don't know anything.
And morale is on the floor in the civil service. And when the next PM gets in place, then they're going to be off for conference season, which takes up all their time for about a month. And then it's the November holiday, and then we're into Christmas for 3 weeks off. So help is coming, and those cold weather payments should be with us in July.
Oh, fabulous.
And it's not Putin doing this to us, by the way. France and Germany and Belgium and Spain are all on the same planet as we are. They've all been affected by Putin's war as we have, and their bills aren't going up anywhere near as much as ours. So it's a political decision by this government. I mean, in fact, it seems to fit right in with that whole libertarian mindset that appears to be against helping those that need help the most. On the assumption, I suspect, that those who need help the most are just dragging the rest of us down. You know, what with their benefits and their needs and their lack of luck. It's all about the money, honey. And you know that Martin Lewis bloke who's busy freaking out on the internet? The money-saving expert founder Martin Lewis. He warned people could die this winter because they can't afford to pay for their energy. But, you know, as he's just an expert in possession of facts, no one in government is remotely interested in anything he had to say. And Boris Johnson's busy enjoying himself on some sort of delayed student's gap year and ticking off items on his bucket list and is far too self-involved to, you know, actually do his job. So we're going to have to wait for his replacement, which is likely to be competing with him as to who is the worst Prime Minister this country has ever had. I mean, it doesn't matter which one it will be. They already tie him for the most embarrassing. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Redhill, Nigel.
Oh, good evening, Nick. Figure of 7,500 that was mentioned on the news.
£7,500.
Yes, it equates to me paying £20 a day without using any power. So I suppose they're taking the money off for everybody. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Exactly what you were saying. I do like that. You were making me laugh earlier. I worked it out, 7,500. In other words, I'm paying £20 a day before I switch the lights on or anything. You know, it's just it's like we're helping the government.
Yeah, well, for your safety, Nigel, don't switch lights on. That's the new advice from Her Majesty's government. For your safety, disconnect your house from the electricity grid.
That's understood.
All right, thanks a lot, Nigel. Nige is a bit familiar. Sorry about that. Nigel. Mark text, do you think Bojo will join the Ukraine army and then go on holiday to Moscow? Well, I think I think he owes some woman there a tennis match, doesn't he? How much does a set of tennis with Boris Johnson cost in rubles, approximately? Ross emails, hate to burst your bubble, but did we have a boring Tory Prime Minister once upon a time? But did we? Is that a question? But we did, perhaps. We did have a boring Tory Prime Minister once upon a time. His name was John Major, and he believed in back to basics. Oh, wait, I think I just described my recurring nightmare, but just wait until we find out what's in Les Trust's closet. Very torturous and almost completely meaningless, Ross. But I do remember John Major. He's what a leader used to look like in this country before you-know-who arrived on the scene. Yeah, that chump. Nick texts, we need to find Liz Trust alternative employment before Monday week. Is there a vacancy for a chairperson on Mastermind? Well, if she's the one asking the questions, she's also got the answers written down there on her card, but she'll probably still get them wrong. And tweets, so nice to hear Oliver Norval Hardy on the radio. BBC Two used to show their movies on weekday mornings, and I used to nearly choke laughing. Yeah, well, quite right. Some comedy sort of comes and goes. It's very much of its time, and even a short period later, it's just not funny anymore for some reason. I mean, like Morecambe and Wise, I know there's going to be a sharp intake of breath from a certain element, but Morecambe and Wise used to command tens of millions of people on a Saturday night. I mean, maybe 20 million, but even more, perhaps. Partly because there wasn't anything else on. We had like 3 channels, no internet, and no video games or nothing like that. Books. That was the only alternative to watching TV on a Saturday night. Books.
Boring.
Yeah. But the nation loved them. They were very likeable. But were they funny? I don't know. I mean, you see it now and you think, I was talking last night about Benny Hill. Not funny at all. I mean, that was very, very much of its time. But I think there's a couple of like duos that do actually go. There is no clock on their appeal. I think that the two Ronnies actually holds up better than Morecambe and Wise because they were wordsmiths. But of all of them, apart from Tom and Jerry, which are like a special category all to themselves, the funniest comic pairing of all time, and I think they will always be funny, regardless of whether people are looking back in 1,000 years, they will still be as funny, are Laurel and Hardy. So I completely agree in every way, shape and form. Probably the funniest pairing that has ever existed. And I resisted watching the film about their later years starring Steve Coogan for the longest time because I thought, well, they're just going to be impersonating them and I won't be able to get past the fact that they're not Laurel and Hardy. But it came around on TV and I did watch it and it's actually really, really good. So don't be concerned if you're a Laurel and Hardy fan that that film will not do them justice. It is actually really good. And Steve Coogan is remarkable in that role. Very, very good indeed. But you can't get better than Laurel and Hardy, can you?
No, 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 no.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Everything is going extremely well.
Everything is going extremely well, unless you are a person called Paul, who has texted me saying, I live in Glasgow but travel to London once a week. This week, in despair of Avanti West Coast, I had to go to Edinburgh and travel to London via LNER, government-owned. Avanti are far and away the worst-performing rail franchise and are currently running a vastly reduced service, says Paul. But Grant Shapps gave them their £17 million performance bonus. A £17 million performance bonus.
What?
We have third world infrastructure, says Paul. If only the Marxist Jeremy Corbyn had nationalised the railways like he promised. Yeah, if only we hadn't suffered under 12 years of the Labour government under the disastrous premiership of Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, no, that's right. It wasn't him, was it? First Group owns chaos-stricken Avanti West Coast, says the Mirror, whose passengers scaled a spiked fence on Tuesday, and it awarded boss Graham Sutherland nearly 1 million shares on Thursday. The boss of scandal-hit train firm Avanti's parent company has been awarded a £1 million share bonus while passengers suffer chaos.
Oh, fabulous.
£1 million bonus for excellence in showing up to work. I mean, just look up Avanti and news, and it's just absolutely awful. But, that's definitely worth a bonus in my mind. You become the chief executive of a major corporation that's providing a service that is essentially a monopoly, and you trip on the welcome mat at the front door of your office and you just fall face first into a pile of money. It literally is that easy. Anyone could do it. 0345 6060 973. What kind of a stupid country would sell off its rail and its gas and its electricity and its post and its water? Just us. That's just us in the whole wide world. It's just us. Only us. Every other country, smarter. We, stupid. Unless you can explain it some other way. Isle of Wight. Hello, Billy. Billy. Oh, Billy.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Yes, Billy.
I'm sorry, you caught me off guard. I've put my crumpets in the toaster. How are you, Nick?
Crumpets, eh? What are you going to have on them?
Oh, lashings of butter, of course, Nick.
Well, of course, yeah. But you've got to let it cool down a bit because otherwise the butter melts straight through the crumpet and then you get butter all over your hands. So
yes.
Let it cool just a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, Nick, you're a man after my own heart, because that's exactly what I do. It's got to be just right, isn't it? It's got to be melted, but not completely.
And it has to be crusty and crispy on the outside, and not too doughy in the middle. It has to be a light in the middle, because I hate a doughy crumpet.
I don't get what these sourdough ones are all about. I like the normal ones.
Aren't the normal ones sourdough by definition as a crumpet?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. I may have learnt something new here, because I looked in one of the shops the other day and it said sourdough crumpets, and I just thought, well, what's the difference? I mean, they tasted the same,
right? I think
they're more than double the price.
Yeah, sourdough crumpets are aimed specifically at woke lefties.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong there. I mean, I did like them, but I don't see what. I mean, actually, you know what, Nick? Crumpets are probably like the cheapest thing you can buy these days. They're still like 30p.
They're very, very good value for money, because they fill you right up. Now, you said crumpets plural. You're actually going to have more than one?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, you caught me out. Yeah, I've actually got two in the toaster. The problem is they come in groups of 6.
Well, they do. You don't have to eat them in twos, though. You can eat them individually.
I did buy them yesterday, so that's only 3 a day. So that's quite a lot, isn't it?
3 a day? You eat 3 a day?
Well, in the last week, yeah, because I go through phases, Nick, of liking certain foods.
Yeah.
And crumpets at the moment are like top of my agenda. It used to be school dinner cake with custard.
What's school dinner cake?
That used to be something I used to.
What is that?
Oh, you know, it's basically like a tray bake, and it's got like pink icing on the top with hundreds of thousands. It's nothing special. It's just like, you know, good old classic.
That's like
kind of like
baby. You're eating baby food.
How dare you?
That's exactly what you're eating. You're eating
like.
You'll be on Farley's Rusks next.
What's Farley's Rust? Is that an old TV program I want to know about?
You'll get around to it eventually. If you're on cake with pink icing and custard, then Farley's Rusks are just around the corner. Anyway, what did you call about?
Well, yeah, Nick. Sorry, I just wanted to make my point really on the fact that there is good news for us. The fact that, believe it or not, obviously after 12 years, I think finally the public have started to understand what such a mess this Tory government are making. Because did you notice?
No.
Or did you?
I disagree with you. I bet that at least 40% of the population will vote Conservative next time around, because they will be for whatever reason, I don't know. If at first your decision does not work out for you, keep making the same decision over and over again, because that'll be your solution.
Well, let's hope that this chap at YouGov, because he was being interviewed by Sky News, and there seems to be it's either a fluke or we're going to know sort of with more polling. But he seems to think that people are finally getting round to the idea that the Tories just aren't delivering. And at first he said at the very start that maybe the new leader would have a honeymoon period.
Yeah, no,
but
I don't think so.
He's now saying that might not happen.
No, it won't. No. She's going to She's going to hit the ground running, but she won't be running fast enough, and we'll just do a massive face plant right in front of us.
Oh, this will be the last. I'm hoping it will be the last 2 years, Nick. I mean, the last 12 years we had. I would just synopsise, I suppose, very briefly.
You'll do what
we
now?
had David Cameron, who said synopsise.
Synopsise?
Yeah, provide you a synopsis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll get, and
I'll provide you a synopsis.
Right. Okay. Synopsise. Okay. Synopsise away.
Only just very briefly. I won't bore you, and those listening. But
I'm afraid that ship sailed. But go ahead.
Well, I don't know if I want to give you the list now. I might just keep it to myself.
Right. I think that's probably a good idea. You can take that list and stick it. All right. Thanks a lot, Billy. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Well, he used up all his time talking about crumpets. Not my fault. Kay emails, if Liz Truss is just the same as Margaret Thatcher, maybe her first day can become her last, because we can promptly fast forward to the resignation part due to preemption of ruination. What? Gordon says, is Rishi Sunak the love child of Tony Blair and Norman Wisdom? I think we should be told, says Gordon. Well, somebody will look into that, Gordon. Don't worry about it. Sue says, I am literally slowly coming around from an operation and listening to you, Nick. I cannot help but laugh at times, but it hurts. Will says, don't burst a stitch. That's not what Will says. Will says, I feel certain of Lord Frost's pride in his ability to negotiate a Brexit deal for Britain, even if the country is now totally finished. Lord Frost. I mean, for crying out loud. People are saying now that he is actually going to be the puppet master and that Liz Truss is just the vacant vehicle for his evil machinations. That bloke's going to be running the country. That bloke will even have a hand in running the country. He should be given a job of any kind other than rubbish collecting. In fact, I'm not even sure that we should gift that to him. The melting candle. Oh, who is he? Where does he come from? Who voted for him? No one. Lord Frost. I don't recognise this country anymore. It only took this bloke 2 years.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
2 short years to take what used to be a pretty okay functioning country. I'm not saying it's an okay country. I'm saying it functioned in an okay manner. I mean, let's not get carried away. The NHS was bad before Bodge took over. There were potholes in the roads and crime was going through the roof and et cetera and so on. But you could pretty much recognise this country, even though there were things that were, that you could fix up. It was a fixer-upper. But since he took over, I mean, where is this anymore? If you had just woken up from an operation that had put you under for the last 5 years, you'd be waking up now and wondering, which country am I in now? Where is this?
Nick Abbot on LBC.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
We have been run by a big sack of monkey nuts for at least the last 12 years. Rusty texts, Liz Truss will be a disaster with John Redwood in her cabinet. I see no hope at all. Now, does she mean that Liz Truss will be a disaster with John Redwood in her cabinet? Or Liz Truss will be a disaster with John Redwood in her cabinet? I see no hope at all. I'm going to go that way. And with very unpleasant consequences, says Rusty.
Oh, no.
Not unpleasant consequences, surely. I haven't voted since 2009, she says.
What?
Are you kidding me? You haven't voted since 2009? Why? You had sore knees? Couldn't make it down to the polling station? They're all the same. Nothing ever changes. I've got no patience for people who don't vote. None at all, zero. She says, I may have to vote Lib Dem. Yeah, vote Lib Dem. Just pick one. Pick the least bad option and pick them. Benny tweets, I've said it before and I'll say it again. As soon as Rootin' Tootin' kicked off, we should have nuked Moscow. Western cities and capitals may take a hit if Russia has the actual technology, but the cost of losing a capital is cheap to what we're about to experience, says Benny. Benny is just itching to drop the big one, and so's Liz Truss, I bet. Wasn't Liz Truss the one that said that we don't need to have Trident? We don't need no stinking nuclear weapons, she said, I think, or words to that effect. Wasn't that her in like a previous life, where she had very, very strong principles? And if you, in the old Groucho Marx gag, and if you don't like those, she has others. Please disregard, says Liz Truss, everything that Liz Truss has ever said. Liz Truss does not agree with Liz Truss. What a shower, eh? John says, I'd like to give my mum a birthday shout-out for yesterday. Yesterday? She's recently lost her husband and is having a hard time with it, and this will make her weekend. Lots of love, says Big John. Happy birthday, Mum. Phil emails, I have a water meter so I get a price breakdown. Did you know that they charge for the rain? What? That is water which runs off your property and the public road. I don't know how they measure it. The last bill was 16% of the price charged for supplied water. This surface water is then mixed with sewage before being pumped out to sea where it's heading anyway, says Phil. Do they don't charge for rain? Rain. I mean, wouldn't that be priceless? I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, I haven't got around to that thing that's gone up in price massively that is not going to please you. In fact, it's going to upset you more than a little. And I'm not talking about electricity, and I'm not talking about gas or petrol or diesel or anything like that. Something's gone up in price a lot, and it's going to get worse. And you're not going to like it, but I'll come to that in a minute. Let's have a call in Tavistock. Rose.
Hello, Nick.
Rose.
Well, it's all utterly ludicrous, isn't it? It's utterly, utterly ludicrous. You see, it strikes me that these random figures that, I mean, they might just as well walk into our banks and take the money.
Yeah. It's a smash, like I keep saying, it's a smash and grab raid. It's not a government, it's a smash and grab raid.
Exactly. And you see, my view is now that what is happening with these, what we're... Hey, I'm sorry, I'm so furious. It's the summation of the process. It's been going on for 12 years, and we've all been sitting back watching it, except for people like Jeremy Corbyn.
I don't think it's the summation. I think it's. I think we're sort of halfway through what you might describe as the plan. Yeah, they're not done with us yet, Rose.
Well, no. You see, if I can, it's a process that it seems to me it's the embedding of the principle that conservative politicians and corporations, who are more or less the same people, may remove unlimited amounts of cash from the system.
Correct.
The system, Nick, being key, because that's how they see it. People are an irrelevance to people like this, except as something that might get in their way. And so they've been building up the acceptability of the unacceptable, taking everybody's money from them through, what were they called, tax credits and all that. I mean, it's too many to list, isn't it? The prevalence of hunger, homelessness, it's all become like, like it's an act of God. And so we've reached the point where, and 39 billion stolen, basically, from the public funds.
Yes.
And all these people that you've just listed earlier who are getting these vast sums because they're doing absolutely nothing at all at the top of companies.
Corporations getting hundreds of billions of pounds in, and when a government gives a corporation hundreds of billions of pounds, that's just good fiscal governance. But if you, Rose, want £10
chân tàn nơi bể dâu ngày mai rõ thôi về đâu tình đơn ưa lệ chân tàn nơi bể dâu ngày mai rõ thôi về đâu